Our story begins in Narhira Prison, Sector 4, where the inmates are gathered in the mess hall. The food looks fairly decent. Rice, vegetables, and some kind of meat. Our protagonist grabs a tray and sits alone at one of the tables. Nearby, one prisoner helps himself to a bit more food, but the young man isn't in the mood to eat. Instead, he watches everything carefully. Suddenly, one inmate glares at him and asks why he's staring. Right after, his tattooed companion urges him on. The big guy is puzzled by the new kid's lack of response. Annoyed, the other man spits near our protagonist, trying to intimidate him. He then tells the kid to eat it all or else he knows what's coming. The pair of bullies ask why he looks so down and if he has any manners. That's when they call him a murderer, causing our hero's eyes to fill with rage. He recalls his plan to get revenge on everyone who framed him and stomps on the guy's foot. Lunging forward, he screams he'll make them all suffer just as he did. With a furious glare, he's ready to take down those who provoked him. The group is frozen, stunned by the rookie's boldness. In a swift move, our protagonist lunges forward, using his chopsticks as a weapon. Red liquid splatters everywhere in the mess hall as he lands a direct hit on the man's face, who cries out in pain. The story then shifts back 2 weeks earlier. The scene changes to a table in a bar, cluttered with drinks and food. Our protagonist sits on a couch with a serious expression, watching a girl named Mayo Kurosawa, planning to confess his feelings to her. The young woman says she needs to go to the restroom and leaves with a friend. Meanwhile, the guy watches her walk away. He takes a deep breath, and with a confident smile, decides today is the day. He then gets up and heads in the same direction the girl went. Reaching the hallway, he finds her and calls her over for a chat. The young man says he needs to tell her something important, and she questions his serious tone. Summoning his courage, he finally confesses, asking the girl to be his girlfriend. The young woman politely turns him down, saying she doesn't want a boyfriend right now. Shocked, he watches her walk away without a second glance. Frozen in place, he can't believe what just happened. Back at the table, he vents his frustration by crushing a beverage can. The young man starts drinking relentlessly, trying to drown the pain of rejection. Chugging one can after another, he tries to forget the cold dismissal he just got. Eventually, he slams another empty can on the table, already slipping into unconsciousness. Thanks to the booze, he completely passes out with his head on the table, totally blacked out and unaware of his surroundings. When he wakes, he finds himself alone in a dark room and wonders where everyone went. Getting up, he goes to the door to see what's happening. Outside, he's met by police officers at a crime scene. A cop grabs him and accuses him of murdering the girl, Mio Kurosawa. He screams that it's impossible and tries to break free from the guards. Desperate, he clings to the police tape, unable to understand the accusation. Completely dazed, he cannot make sense of the situation. Right before his eyes lies the body of the girl he liked. The scene cuts to the courtroom where the judge sentences him to 30 years in prison. The girl's parents erupt in outrage, yelling he should have gotten the maximum penalty. His world collapses and he wonders how it all came to this. Remembering Mio's smile, he questions if it's all just a nightmare. With tears in his eyes, the young man swears he wasn't the one who committed the crime. His father stands up in court, passionately defending his son's innocence with all the conviction he can muster. In response, the victim's family accuses him of still making excuses for what his son did. Immediately afterward, the girl's relatives attack the father, knocking him to the ground. Our protagonist screams desperately for his dad as he is held back, pleading with them to stop hurting the old man. Despite taking a beating, the father promises he will prove his son's innocence. The scene shifts to the exterior of a building resembling a prison. Back in the present, the protagonist is met with hostile stares from other inmates as he enters his cell. Holding his belongings, one prisoner asks about his crime. A tattooed man steps closer to intimidate him, but the protagonist remains speechless. Another prisoner then strikes him from behind, demanding an answer. Collapsing to the floor, he cries out that he did nothing wrong and was framed. The large inmate summons him over with a menacing look. Obediently, our protagonist stands before the cell's leader. Without warning, the inmate delivers a powerful kick to his stomach, sending him flying backward and slamming hard onto the cell floor. The bully hauls him up and asks if he is the murderer from the news. Even as he denies the accusation, the other inmates beat him again. The leader declares he can't tolerate people like him and dares him to fight back. When he shows no resistance, the leader orders his men to tie him up. Our protagonist struggles to break free, but the others overpower him. Soon, his hands are bound tightly, preventing any escape. One of the bullies shouts, asking if he still thinks he can resist. Then he delivers a powerful punch to our protagonist's stomach, forcing him to spit up a large amount of blood. With his hands tied, he is defenseless and becomes nothing more than a human punching bag. Confronted with the situation, the young man is battered and utterly drained, unable to resist any longer. The cell leader seizes him by the hair, glaring at him with pure contempt. He then threatens that if he tells the guards anything, the consequences will be far worse. Our protagonist burns the attacker's face into his memory with a look of sheer hatred. The next day, a guard summons him for a talk in the prison hallway. The officer delivers devastating news. His parents have died in an accident. Tojo is stunned into silence, and the guard asks if he has any other relatives. When Tojo doesn't respond, the officer presses the question about his family. With tears welling up, our hero admits he has no one left in the world. The guard declares he no longer cares and dismisses him without a shred of compassion. Immediately after, the officers walk away to eat, leaving Tojo alone. Back in the mess hall, our protagonist picks up his tray with the day's meal. His expression is utterly vacant as he sits at the table, lacking any desire to eat. Meanwhile, one of the bullies who torments him is also collecting his food. Tojo watches from a distance, his expression serious and calculating. The bully then approaches and immediately starts yelling at him. His tattooed partner watches the scene with a faint smirk. The brute continues to glare at the newcomer, waiting for a reaction. His companion spits right next to Tojo's tray to provoke him further. The bully then threatens him, ordering him to eat everything without complaint. The two fools mock him, asking why he looks so glum and if he even has any manners. That's when they cross a line, calling him a murderer, which pushes him over the edge. A flashback to the girl rejecting him floods our protagonist's mind. To make matters worse, one of the bullies throws trash onto his rice. He also recalls his father's promise, who had taken a severe beating to protect him. As these memories flood his mind, Tojo's expression shifts completely into one of pure hatred. He recalls being beaten and humiliated by the same men in the cell. In that moment, he wonders why he must endure so much suffering and realizes he has nothing left to lose. From then on, he grips his chopsticks tightly, thinking no one would care if he kicked the bucket. The word, murderer, echoes in his mind, accompanied by the bully's mocking smile. Yet, our protagonist decides he's not ready to check out just yet. He's determined to settle the score. With that resolve, he stomps down on the guy's foot with all his might and swears revenge against those who framed him. Immediately after, he lunges forward, screaming he'll make them all feel what he felt. With a completely unhinged look, he's ready to tear everything apart. The group is frozen, stunned by the rookie's sudden shift in attitude. In a swift motion, Tojo lunges forward, wielding the chopsticks like a weapon. As a result, a spray of red liquid splatters across the mess hall. He lands a direct hit on the guy's face, causing Ri to cry out in pain from the attack. The bully screams desperately, clutching the wound. His partner is shocked and shouts for their boss, who is lying on the floor. Without wasting a second, Tojo turns to the others and tells them to drop dead. The other inmates erupt in fury, yelling at Tojo for attacking their boss. But our protagonist doesn't back down. He grits his teeth, bracing himself for whatever comes next. One of the goons is visibly shaken by the new guy's drastic change in demeanor. Before the man can react, Tojo charges forward with insane speed. He delivers a devastating blow right to the center of the other prisoner's face. With a look of pure fury, he thinks that since he's going to bite the dust anyway, he might as well take all these scumbags down with him. The punch is so brutal that the man is knocked out cold, collapsing unresponsive onto the floor. As a result, the bully's body is thrown backward by the force of the impact. Without giving him a moment to recover, our hero is already moving on to the next target. The guy takes a severe beating and can't even raise an arm to defend himself. Meanwhile, one of the other inmates rushes from behind to try to stop him. The guy lands a punch on Tojo's back, but Tojo doesn't seem to feel the blow at all. The inmate is frustrated by the rookie's resilience, who just keeps fighting relentlessly. Our protagonist spins around with a wild look in his eyes, and the guy wonders if he's lost his mind. Amid the chaos, the guards arrive in the mess hall and shout for him to stop. One of the officers grabs him from behind, attempting to restrain him. The officer punches him and complains about the trouble he's causing, but Tojo doesn't even flinch and glares at the guard with a terrifying stare. Frightened, the officer orders them to take the injured guy to the infirmary before it's too late. Meanwhile, our protagonist screams out of pure rage at the entire situation. He breaks free and delivers a powerful spinning kick to the guard holding him, leaving the officer completely stunned by the force of the attack. Immediately after, Tojo runs off, and the guard yells, thinking he's going to throw himself against the wall. Several other inmates and officers rush in to try to hold him back. They grab him tightly as he struggles to break free. Even while restrained, he continues to scream and fight with all his strength. The scene shifts to the infirmary, wherein 4-bag hangs nearby. Our protagonist lies down, seemingly having lost the will to live. The doctor explains to the guard that he will be in danger if he continues to refuse food. Meanwhile, an elderly janitor enters the infirmary to clean. Holding a broom, he calmly begins sweeping the floor. Suddenly, the old man stops and tells the young man not to throw his life away. Our protagonist listens to the advice but stays lying down, expressionless. The old man asks who will clear his parents' names if he dies. Hearing this, Tojo's eyes widen and he becomes alert. He sits up in bed and asks the old man to repeat what he just said. The old man then questions if Tojo ever considered that the accident might not have been real. Tojo is even more shocked and demands to know what he means. With a serious expression, the old man states that Tojo's parents were murdered. At this, the young man grabs him by the collar, demanding to know how he knows that. The old man calms him down and asks directly if he really did kill that girl. Tojo looks him in the eye and firmly denies the accusation. Given this, the old man concludes that his parents were eliminated because they found evidence. Tojo recalls that he always found the case strange from the start. He wonders who would have the courage to do such a thing and what their motive could be. Tears of pure rage stream down his face as he grits his teeth. Tojo screams that the old man is right and that he can't give up until he avenges his parents. Miss Heikia gives a satisfied little smile at the young man's newfound determination but warns that in his current state, Tojo won't be able to do anything and that Gariki wants to finish him off. The old man then says that fortunately, there is a way to survive. He flashes a big grin and praises Tojo's courage, saying he likes him. From there, Tukia offers to help if he can survive, and Tojo doesn't understand. The old man reveals with a sinister look that his help is for escaping from prison. Suddenly, the old man's expression changes when he hears a noise outside. Before leaving, he hands Tojo a book and says it will be very useful in the future. Our protagonist takes the book and watches the old man walk away down the hall. The book's cover centers on human anatomy and its main weak points. The young man asks who the old man really is, and the elder introduces himself as Sikia, but adds the young man can simply call him old-timer. Suddenly, a guard bursts through the infirmary door and storms into the room. He yells at the protagonist for calmly reading a book. The officer complains that the chaos he caused has become a nightmare for everyone. With that, he sentences him to a month in solitary confinement to cool off. The guard then forcefully throws him into the dark cell without mercy. The metal door slams shut, leaving our hero alone in complete darkness. Inside, clutching the book, he thinks he no longer wants to cash in his chips. Gazing at the anatomy book, he finds a new purpose for living. Now, with a determined expression, he swears he will get his revenge. 15 days pass, and the solitary confinement door finally opens. The same guard unlocks the cell and yells for him to get out if he's still alive. But when the officer looks inside, he is utterly shocked by what he sees. Our protagonist emerges from the darkness with a completely transformed physique. His body is much stronger and more defined after the time he spent inside. The guard asks what he did, and the young man replies it was nothing much. With a sinister smile, he says he was just reflecting on his sins. The scene shifts to the prison yard, where inmates are doing manual labor. Our protagonist walks through the area with a newfound air of confidence. One of the bullies who used to torment him spots him from a distance and is surprised. Immediately, the bully calls his friends and tells them Tojo is in the house. A group of inmates then surrounds the young man and threatens him, saying he's finished. But our hero doesn't seem the least bit intimidated and faces them all with a smile. Suddenly, Jiriki, the gang leader, appears and says he got out of the hospital just for him. The brute points to the scar on the young man's face and swears he will get his revenge. Wasting no time, he orders his goons to attack our protagonist. Instantly, the entire gang charges forward to take him down. However, Tojo stays calm, carefully analyzing each opponent's moves. With impressive agility, he dodges their attacks and strikes at their weak points. Gariki is stunned to see his men getting beaten and shouts at them not to mess around. Gritting his teeth, our protagonist remains focused on defeating them all. Even when surrounded, he explodes with fury, unleashing all his hatred. With a quick step, he evades their strikes and readies a counterattack. Then, he lands a powerful punch that sends one of the goons flying. Seeing this, Gariki becomes enraged and yells at our hero before launching his own attack. The two exchange brutal blows atop the building in a fight to the death. Our protagonist shouts that he's going to finish him, his rage fully unleashed. Suddenly, he grabs Gariki and throws him off the roof. The boss screams in desperation as he plummets toward the prison yard below. From above, his men watch in horror, screaming their boss's name in panic. Gariki crashes violently onto the ground with a sickening splatter. But our hero doesn't stop. He continues the assault even though the man is already defeated. In his mind, he recalls those who tormented and framed him, swearing to crush them all with pure hatred in his eyes. At that moment, the guards finally arrive, rushing in to stop the fight. One officer desperately yells for Tojo to stop immediately, warning that if he kills Gariki, he'll face the maximum sentence. Our protagonist acknowledges the truth in this but feels he cannot leave without his revenge. Gritting his teeth, he restrains himself from making a grave mistake. He then stands up and screams in rage, causing the others to think he's lost his mind. As a result, his sentence is extended by 20 years, and now everyone in the prison fears him. Some time later, we find Tojo in the infirmary, recovering and reading a book. A guard approaches and informs him that Gariki has been transferred and is now confined to a wheelchair for life. The officer asks if Tojo's wounds have healed and tells him he'll be returning to his cell soon. Tojo realizes that no one wants to cross a man who isn't afraid of death. With that in mind, he leaves the infirmary and walks calmly down the hallway. Suddenly, Seisha, the old man, appears and remarks that they have met again. Tojo calls in the promise and asks the old man to teach him how to escape from the prison. The old man chuckles softly, clearly pleased with Tojo's attitude. Seisha says that if Tojo creates the right opportunity, he will help him escape. Tojo asks what he needs to do next. With a sinister smile, the old man seems to have the entire plan already mapped out. He reveals that the plan involves causing a huge commotion inside the prison. Tojo asks what comes next and wonders if he can really trust the old man. Seisha explains that the sewer grate in the kitchen has been loose for a long time. He even suggests Tojo go check it out if he doesn't believe him, but Tojo says there's no need. He'll do whatever it takes to get out of there. With a determined look, he tells the old man to leave it all to him. Soon after, a guard escorts him back to his cell down the hall. Upon entering, Gariki's former goons visibly fear his presence. The officer locks the cell door, leaving Tojo alone with the inmates. Without hesitation, Tojo challenges anyone who wants to avenge their old boss. The men panic and insist it was all a misunderstanding, claiming they hated Gariki. They quickly switch sides and thank Tojo for taking out the cell's bully. With that, they all declare him the new boss and swear total obedience. Tojo accepts his new position with a cold, calculating look. The scene shifts to the mess hall, where he eats while the others serve him. His new followers even put the best portions of food on his tray. They treat him like a king, calling him boss with smiles on their faces. Another inmate approaches and offers his plate to the new leader as well. Feeling a bit awkward, our protagonist says he can't eat that much. Meanwhile, at another table, prisoners talk about the beatdown Gariki got. A brute named Yumi-san complains that the newcomer hasn't come to pay his respects yet. His goon tries to calm him down, promising to bring the guy over to their side. Yumi-san smirks slightly at the idea of taking over the entire sector. The subordinate then slams his fist on the table to intimidate, walks over, and asks if the guy is the Tojo everyone's talking about. The newcomer introduces himself as Yumi-san's man and questions the lack of respect shown. Our protagonist doesn't even flinch and asks if that's a problem. His new followers grow scared and whisper that Yumi-san is very dangerous. Tojo watches the big guy from a distance, already grasping the situation. Yumi-san tells another goon to teach the cheeky rookie some manners. The goon, annoyed, slams the table and yells that the new guy is getting too big for his britches. But our protagonist wastes no time and lands a solid punch right in the goon's face. With a cold glare, he makes it clear he's not to be messed with. Yumi-san is furious to see his man take such a beating. Our hero's new followers stand there, jaws dropped at the scene. The goon flies back, crashes into a table, and yells for his boss's help. Faced with this, Yumi-san rises, enraged, cursing at our protagonist. Our hero remains still as the brute approaches for a showdown. Everyone in the mess hall is stunned and steps back, afraid of the fight. The terror on the inmates' faces shows that things have just gotten serious. No one expected the new guy to be crazy enough to challenge the top dog. Even lying on the floor, the goon swears he'll finish Tojo, who remains completely indifferent. The two then stand face to face, and the difference in their size is striking. The big guy remarks that he's never seen anyone as arrogant as our hero. With a smirk, Tojo replies that he's looking at one right now. Suddenly, one of the guards appears, shouting for everyone to get back to eating. Yumi grumbles, shooting a furious glare, warning that our hero will regret this. He says he'll settle the score during tomorrow's break and leaves with his gang. Meanwhile, the goon who was beaten stays on the floor, crying out for his boss. One of the new followers panics and warns that their gang will come at full force tomorrow. Our protagonist calls them cowards and insists they just need to finish them all at once. His new companions are completely stunned by his fearless attitude. Encouraged by this, one of the guys summons his courage and kneels before the new boss. He apologizes for being scared and says that since it's come to this, the leader yells that he'll fight with everything he's got tomorrow, and the others agree. Our hero watches as his new followers fill with courage for the big fight. The scene shifts to the cell at night, where all the inmates are sleeping peacefully, but Tojo quietly gets up and grabs a bedsheet from one of the bunks. With a determined look, he twists the fabric with all his strength, transforming the sheet into a weapon for what's to come. The next day, during the break, the inmates gather in the yard for free time. Two guards patrol the area but don't seem very concerned. Suddenly, one of the prisoners calls an officer over to offer some high-quality smokes. The officer accepts and steps aside with his partner into a corner. Meanwhile, Yumi-san and his gang are already waiting for our hero to settle the score. The other inmates gather around to watch the big showdown. Confronted with the situation, one of the followers shouts a warning to our protagonist that they have arrived. Our hero flashes a confident smile, knowing everything is unfolding exactly as planned. He turns to face the rival gang and challenges them to show their full determination. In response, Yumi-san's goons charge toward Tojo's small group. Chaos erupts as a full-scale brawl overtakes the entire prison yard. Almost immediately, one of Yumi-san's men is brutally beaten and knocked out with a single punch. The fighting intensifies, and our protagonist unleashes his full strength. Enraged by the scene, Yumi-san jumps into the fray himself. From a distance, a guard notices the commotion and rushes over, shouting that another fight has broken out. The battle grows fiercer, and our hero lands a solid punch right in the middle of an opponent's face. Seeing this, the guards charge in with their batons, attempting to quell the chaos. Using an improvised weapon, our protagonist delivers a critical blow to a rival's back. Watching his men get beaten, Yumi-san clenches his teeth in pure fury. One inmate grabs a guard's arm, preventing him from wielding his baton. The officer shouts that this is a violation and calls for backup on his radio. The yard becomes a battlefield, littered with bodies and stained with blood. Yet amid the brawl, Yumi-san notices something strange. He realizes the instigator has completely vanished. Meanwhile, our hero seizes the distraction to slip into one of the buildings. Inside, Sachia congratulates him and urges that they need to leave as quickly as possible. Smiling, the old man tells him to follow for the next step. The two hurry through the corridors toward the kitchen. Finally, they reach the exact spot the old man had mentioned earlier. Without hesitation, Sachia begins lifting the heavy sewer cover. Great. With a satisfied smile, Miss Sachia manages to open the passage. Our protagonist watches everything with a cold and determined gaze. The old man enters the hole first and waits for our hero. The passage leads to a dark sewer with a pretty disgusting appearance. Without hesitation, Tojo steps into the filthy water to begin his escape. Sachia warns that the smell is pretty bad, but he needs to hang in there. To avoid the unbearable stench, he plugs his nose. Crawling through the grimy tunnel, rats scurry everywhere. The sewer is infested with rodents swimming in the rotten, dirty water. After a while, the old man announces they have finally reached their destination. At the tunnel's end, a huge metal gate blocks the path to freedom. Our protagonist asks what they are going to do to get out. The old man calms him down and says he has already made all the arrangements since he's been here before. He explains that he prepared the spot so that one of the bars could be removed. Sachia then tells the guy to push hard so they can get through. Obeying, our protagonist pushes the iron bar with all his strength. The gate finally gives way, clearing the path for the duo's escape. But as he turns to leave, the old man mercilessly stabs him in the back. The treacherous old man strikes our hero sharply in the chest with a blade. With a sinister look, he says the guy's mission ends here and that he's going to off him. Our protagonist collapses to the ground, too weak to react to the surprise attack. The traitorous old man turns and starts to walk away, thinking he's won. But before he can escape, our hero grabs his ankle to stop him from fleeing. Sachia is shocked and turns to see that the young man already has a knife to the old man's throat. Our protagonist says the old-timer always told him to be suspicious of everything. Because of that, he hid the anatomy book against his chest, which saved him from the stabbing. The blade got stuck in the pages of the very book the old man himself had given him. The old man tensed up, and Tojo shouted that he had learned never to trust anyone anymore. Seisha scoffed and asked if the young man was going to challenge him using the methods he had taught. Without hesitation, our protagonist lunged forward with the blade to finish off the traitor. Holding the blade he had taken from the old man, his face burned with pure rage. Seisha then threw his knife and said he only had one chance to win the fight. Gritting his teeth, the young man prepared for the combat that would decide his future. He then hurled the towel soaked in lime that he had been carrying into the old man's face. Taking advantage of the distraction, he landed a solid punch on the traitor. The old man fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Blinded, he desperately asked what it was and soon realized he had been hit with lime. Our hero revealed that he already knew everything because a guy had ratted out the old man's plan. Furious, Seisha got up and swore he would take our protagonist down with him. But the young man showed him the vial of acid the old man had been looking for to use on him. The old man remembered stashing the weapon, but our hero had been smarter than him. The pure hatred in Seisha's eyes showed he had been outplayed. He charged forward with full force, asking if the young man really thought he could beat him. Without giving him time to react, our protagonist landed a brutal blow on the traitor. Then, he finished with a powerful kick that sent the old man flying. Lying on the ground, the old man admitted he had been naive and that our hero was right. Our protagonist replied that he wouldn't make the same mistake of trusting someone again. The traitor lamented being defeated by a rookie like him. Without mercy, our hero finished the fight with a precise blow to the throat. Immediately afterward, he pours the mysterious liquid over the old man's body. With a cold glare, he thanks the traitor for making him stronger. Having done that, he finally leaves the sewer and continues on his path toward freedom. Outside, he sees daylight and the city in the distance for the very first time. He takes a deep breath, savoring the long-awaited scent of freedom. Then, he pulls out the meat he had used as both food and bait during his escape. With no further use for it, he throws it all into the water. Now empowered, he swears that his revenge is only just beginning. The scene shifts to a restaurant where some police officers are eating. One of them complains that they still haven't caught the prison escapee. The owner of the restaurant asks if there weren't two fugitives who escaped. The officer explains that they found the young man's body, but the old man disappeared. Our protagonist, disguised, overhears the conversation with a slight smirk. He recalls taking the ID from the old man's uniform before escaping. After that, he poured acid on the traitor's body and placed the ID on top. Because of this, the police assumed the burned body was that of our hero. The restaurant owner mourns the man's tragic death, unaware of the truth. But one officer says he deserved it because he committed a terrible crime. Meanwhile, our protagonist eats calmly, pretending not to hear the discussion. The older officer reveals that the young man's parents stole the autopsy report. Upon hearing this, Tojo's expression shifts completely, and he becomes alert. He realizes his parents were eliminated because of that report. Determined, he rises from the table to find that document. Suddenly, the older officer calls him over for a chat before he leaves. Our protagonist turns to face him without showing any reaction. The guard warns him to be careful because a dangerous fugitive is still on the loose. Our protagonist replies to the guard with a serious expression, confirming he received the message. The scene then shifts to a waiter walking down the street, calmly whistling. Yet our hero watches him from afar, tracking the man's every step along the sidewalk. The waiter enters a dark alley, wondering what he'll eat when he gets home. Suddenly, Tojo appears behind him, pressing a knife to his neck and threatening him. The man panics, claiming he has no money since he's just an employee. Tojo orders him to be quiet and answer his questions truthfully. He then asks who instructed him to frame Gaku Tojo in the past. Tojo is surprised by the man's response and asks what he means by, "You too." The man threatens Tojo, warning he'll suffer the same fate as his friend Yuji Suzuki. Hearing this, Tojo recalls his partner and is shocked by the news. Overcome with rage, our protagonist drives the blade deep into the man's leg. The man collapses, screaming in pain, while Tojo demands to know who hurt Yuji. Desperate, the man looks up and asks if he's really Tojo. Pressing him further, Tojo demands to know who framed him and who harmed his friend. The man refuses to speak, saying the mastermind is too powerful. Losing patience, Tojo delivers a solid punch to his face. With the knife at his throat, he gives the man one last chance to talk. Frightened, the man reveals a woman named Rei Amano paid and threatened him. Tojo's anger flares at the name, and he asks if it's really Reino. The man explains she was Mayo's best friend and had fallen in with the wrong crowd. Eyes burning with hatred, Tojo screams, demanding the woman's location. The man tells him she works at the Grandia nightclub and should be there now. Tojo turns to leave, and the man begs for his life. He begs not to be killed and promises to cooperate with whatever is asked. But our hero ignores him and gags him to keep him silent. With a cold stare, he says he won't kill him now and tells him to wait. Without hesitation, the man kicks him hard into a well. From above, he warns that if anything goes wrong, he'll starve to death down there. Our protagonist then walks away, leaving the traitor trapped in darkness. The man is desperate at the bottom of the well, with no way to escape. The scene shifts to an isolated house in the middle of nowhere at night. There, our protagonist watches his friend Yuji, who is badly beaten. Yuji drinks and laments that he couldn't avenge his friend and is a complete wreck. Our hero observes everything from a distance, his expression serious and determined. He then recalls when Yuji used to protect him from bullies during their childhood. In the memory, his friend promises that no one will ever bother him again. Back in the present, Yuji vows to prove his friend's innocence. Afterward, he passes out from exhaustion and his injuries, leading Tojo to decide he can no longer involve him and will handle everything on his own. From there, he heads to the Grandia nightclub to find this Raymano. Outside the club, he sees a brute leaving with the woman he's been looking for. The young woman says goodbye to the client and promises an even better night next time. She then checks her watch and decides it's time to go home. As she walks down the street, our protagonist follows her closely. Holding a knife, he prepares to approach her from behind. She answers her phone and agrees to meet someone in 15 minutes at the same place. Our protagonist continues to follow her closely, unnoticed in the crowd. From there, she enters a place called Net Paradise, and he watches her from across the way. Inside, she meets with a thug named Harato Kagami and his goons. Seizing the moment, our hero grabs a can of soda, realizing this is his only chance. He enters the room, and the woman complains about the delay, assuming it's someone else. But when she turns around, she's shocked and asks who he is and how he got in. Our protagonist holds up the can and says he just came to deliver a soda. He offers the drink to the woman, who reaches out to take it. The moment she does, he grips her wrist with all his strength. Immediately, he pulls her in and presses a knife to her neck, warning her not to scream. With a furious look, he moves closer and asks if she recognizes him. The woman, terrified, realizes it's Tojo and asks how he's alive. Tojo presses her, demanding to know why she framed him, but she denies it. She explains that framing him cost millions, and if she had that kind of money, she wouldn't be here. Our protagonist questions her further to find out who the real mastermind is. The woman warns him it's better not to know because the man is untouchable and tells him to run. But our hero presses the knife against her neck, making a small cut. With a crazed look, he gives her one last chance to talk or meet her end right there. Scared, she finally reveals that the mastermind behind it all was Kokosha. Our protagonist is shocked and wonders why Kokosha would do that. The woman points to the door and warns that Kagami's goons are waiting outside. She begs him to leave, saying she's told him everything she knows about the case. But our hero says he's already lost everything, and now all he has left is revenge. The scene shifts to a memory where the two seem to have gotten along very well in the past. Back in the present, the woman crouches down and starts writing something on a piece of paper. He then pins her against the wall and asks if she is on his side or against him. She hands him a piece of paper and promises to explain everything later, urging him to leave. The paper has the woman's phone number so they can talk. Our protagonist says he'll call tomorrow and warns that if she betrays him, he'll show no mercy. As he leaves, he comes face to face with Kagami and his goons in the hallway. He walks past the group in pink suits, trying not to draw attention. A bead of sweat trickles down his face, showing the tension of the moment. For a brief instant, our hero and the gang leader exchange a piercing, intense look. Kage watches him walk away, thinking he's seen that expression somewhere before. Then Aon asks about his neck, but he quickly makes up an excuse. Back in his room, Tojo lies on the bed, reflecting on everything that happened. He recalls Koki, Yosha, and Mayu together, looking like a happy couple. The image of Mayo and Raymano having fun also comes to mind. He remembers the day he drank too much and completely passed out at the table. In that memory, he sees Yoshida and Mayo leaving hand in hand while he was asleep. With tears in his eyes, our protagonist wonders why they took everything from him. Filled with hatred, he clenches the bedsheet and screams Yosha's name silently in his mind. The next day, our protagonist goes to a payphone to make a call. He arranges to meet the woman in a park at night to talk. On the other end, Raymano agrees to the meeting with a serious expression. Later, she is seen at a Carrick bar with a client, trying to hide her tension. From there, the woman arrives alone at the agreed location and walks through the park. Our hero is already waiting in hiding and reveals himself to start the conversation. Without hesitation, he confronts her and asks exactly how his parents died. The woman reveals they obtained the autopsy report and plan to request a new trial, but Yoshida got scared and staged an accident to get rid of them both at once. Faced with this, our protagonist recalls the tragic scene and is devastated. With tears in her eyes, Rayono apologizes for everything that happened to him. Filled with rage, our hero slaps her across the face and screams in hatred. Even after being hit, she insists she wants to tell the whole truth as a form of redemption. He grabs her and demands to know what was in the report and how he really died. The woman reveals they found traces of 3 men on her, but none were his. Our protagonist is completely shocked by this bombshell revelation. The woman says Mio accepted money from Yoshida and went with them willingly. In a flashback, Yoshida gives Mio some cash and asks her to entertain his friends. The girl, with a seductive look, asks what kind of entertainment he had in mind. Crying, Ri reveals they forced her to use some substances, and she couldn't handle it. The scene shows one of the men offering the girl a strange powder at the party. Without giving her a chance to refuse, he forces her to consume the weird substance. From there, the situation gets really heavy as they take advantage of the girl. Suddenly, they realize she isn't moving and panic. One of the men screams in desperation when he sees the woman has stopped breathing. Our hero is heartbroken and can't believe Mio was that kind of person. Angrily, he grabs her tightly and asks why they framed him. She says someone had to take the blame, and he was the perfect target for the setup. Our protagonist glares at her seriously and asks if all of that is true. Ri, crying, reveals she was also threatened by Yoshida and that she hates him. With a determined look, our protagonist swears he will finish Yoshida, but the woman warns him his father hired 8 bodyguards to protect him. She explains that they are elite professionals and that he would never be able to get close to the target. The woman continues trying to persuade him, saying his parents would have wanted him to live. Our hero ignores her and warns that he'll spare her for now, but she should stay out of it. Then he tells her to come with him and leave the park, without offering any explanation. On the way, he reveals that he can't let her go until everything is resolved. With that, he asks for her cell phone, and the woman hands it over without protest. Suddenly, he throws her heart into the same well where he left the other man. From below, she shouts that she deserves it, but begs him not to lose his life. With a cold look, he warns that if he dies, she'll starve to death alongside the other one. Confronted with this, the woman sits at the bottom of the well and accepts her punishment. The scene shifts to a nightclub where Yosha is enjoying himself with several girls. But from a distance, our protagonist watches him with a look of pure hatred and vengeance. In front of the stage, he faces Yoshida and his bodyguards, ready for whatever may come. Yoshida calls one of the girls to join him in the nightclub's restroom. The woman likes the idea and calls him bold for wanting to do that there. So he tells his bodyguards to wait while he takes the girl. Our protagonist sees this as his only chance to attack without being noticed. But one of the security guards stops him and tells him to stay right where he is. Our hero makes up an excuse and asks if he can't even go to the restroom. The brute stares at him for a moment with a very suspicious expression. Finally, the guard lets him pass and tells him to get on with it. Arriving at the restroom, he hears some strange noises coming from a stall. With that, the guy knocks on the door to get the attention of the couple inside. Yosha yells from within, telling him not to interrupt while our hero prepares. Without wasting a second, he breaks down the door with a powerful kick. The girl accompanying him is startled by the sudden and unexpected intrusion. Yoshida becomes annoyed and demands to know who he is and whether he wants to get off right there. Our protagonist moves forward, knife in hand, ready to strike his target. The woman with Yoshida screams in terror as the hero attacks without mercy. Grabbing him by the neck, Yoshida grows angry and asks what he thinks he's doing. Without giving him a chance to respond, the protagonist lands a solid punch squarely on his face. Immediately after, he pins him against the wall, pressing the knife to his neck. Upon closer inspection, the wealthy man is shocked and recognizes him as the real Tojo. At that moment, the guards arrive, and Yoshida shouts for them to capture the intruder. To escape, our hero uses the toilet for leverage to leap over the wall. With an agile jump, he vaults over the stall, catching the security guards off guard. He lands on the other side, leaving the brutes unsure how to react. Without hesitation, the protagonist throws himself against a window, shattering the glass. Seeing his target fleeing, Yoshida offers 2 million to anyone who can catch him. The security guards then leap through the broken window to begin the pursuit. Our hero runs desperately through the streets, with the 2 goons in hot pursuit. The brutes shout for him to stop, but he ignores them completely. Suddenly, the guards lose sight of him and decide to search further ahead. Hiding among the trash, our protagonist manages to shake off the security guards. He laments getting so close, but now that his identity has been exposed, he still rises, knowing there's a chance to exact his revenge. The scene shifts to night outside a luxurious building in the city. A fancy car pulls up and parks at the entrance of the mysterious place. Inside, Yoshida's father asks if they are certain it was really Tojo. Furious, the wealthy man shouts that he will finish our hero with his own hands. Meanwhile, back at the well, the situation is grim for the prisoners. The man and woman complain they're dying of thirst at the bottom of the hole. Suddenly, a rope is thrown down, surprising the traitorous duo. Our protagonist climbs down the rope carrying a bag of food. Fearful, the woman approaches and asks if he managed to finish Yoshida. He turns his face away and replies in a defeated tone that he failed. The other man crawls on the ground, begging for water because he feels he's about to die there. In response, our hero throws down the bag containing water and food for them to manage. Desperate, the man gulps the water to quench his thirst. Suddenly, our protagonist turns around with a very serious expression. Amano's cell phone begins to ring. It's Koki Yoshida calling her. Our hero warns the duo to stay quiet or he'll finish them both. On the other end, Yosha yells, demanding to know where Amano has been. Our protagonist answers but stays silent. Suspicious, the rich man realizes Tojo is with Amano and questions him about it. Pretending concern, he asks why Tojo ran off so quickly and where he is. Yosha offers to free them both, saying even his friend is there. Hearing this, our protagonist becomes angry and demands Yosha release Yuji. The rich man proposes a deal, asking if Tojo would turn himself in if his friend is freed. Our hero counters, saying he has a Zoom and a Mano with him. But Yosha dismisses this, saying their lives mean nothing to him. Our protagonist falls silent, unsure how to save his friend. Then he reveals he has a copy of the report and can prove Yosha's guilt. On the other end, Yosha doubts it, saying if Tojo had the report, he would have already turned him in. With a furious look, the rich man asks what Tojo really wants with all of this. Our protagonist screams from the bottom of the well, demanding that his name be cleared and declaring that he will not perish. He thinks about wanting to finish off the guy but realizes he has no other choice at the moment. Yosha proposes a meeting to show him the copy and offers him money to disappear from the bottom of the well. Our hero listens to the proposal while the woman watches him silently. He agrees to the meeting and asks the rich man to send the location the next day. Immediately after, he hangs up the phone, ending the call with his great enemy. Faced with this, the 2 prisoners panic and shout that it's a trap. Our protagonist calmly replies that he knows, but there is no other way. Then, he throws the cell phone on the ground and warns that he might not come back alive. The woman holds him and warns that he'll be taken out since he doesn't even have the copy of the report. He looks at her and says he can't involve Yugi anymore and that this is his last chance. The scene shifts, and our hero chooses new clothes with the help of a mysterious woman. With a new look, he walks down the street while a chef searches for his knife. He then enters a store and buys 2 bottles of a very strong drink. Soon after, the scene moves to an abandoned, completely destroyed building. Inside, our protagonist prepares near a bonfire with his new weapons. He starts wrapping his hands for the big fight ahead. In front of the fire, he kneels as if performing a ritual. Then he lowers his head until his forehead touches the ground, bowing in a gesture of deep respect and farewell. With the city in the background, he appears to be preparing for his final battle. He asks his parents for strength and swears he will avenge them by finishing Yoshida. Our hero stands up and faces the city as snow begins to fall. Shortly after, Yoshida's guards are shocked to see that he has actually shown up alone. Our protagonist walks toward the army of goons. From above, the wealthy man watches everything unfold with a triumphant smile on his face. He orders his men to make sure the intruder doesn't leave alive. Without hesitation, one of the thugs charges at him from behind with everything he's got. From his vantage point, Yoshida observes our hero surrounded by armed henchmen. With a furious shout, the hero calls for him to come down and settle things face to face. However, the rich man smiles slightly and invites him inside the building to talk. Meanwhile, the brutes prepare to attack at the entrance. Tojo demands they release Yuji first, or he will leave immediately. With a gesture, Yoshida signals his men to comply with the request. Shortly after, Yuji is thrown out and assaulted by the goons. Our protagonist rushes to help his friend, insisting he keeps his word. One guard questions whether releasing him might cost them their advantage. Yoshida explains that with Yuji injured, the hero wouldn't be able to escape. Yuji is shocked to see him alive, and Tojo tells him to leave the rest to him. But Yuji refuses to be a coward, shouting that they're in this together. From above, the rich man grows impatient with the delay and orders them to get inside already. Yuji holds Tojo back and warns that the place is a trap full of enemies. Our hero yells for Yoshida to let his friend go because he's going in. Still, Yuji insists he's not leaving and will handle it himself. Our hero says goodbye, telling Yuji to live well and visit his grave. As Yuji is dragged away, he braces for what's coming. With that, the hero turns and enters the building to face his fate head-on. Inside, Yoshida descends the stairs, exuding superiority and confidence. Our protagonist walks through the doors as if nothing can stop him. His eyes glow red with pure rage, ready for revenge. The goons surround him and one prepares to strike with a bat. Witnessing the scene, Yosha asks if he brought the copy of the report. Our protagonist replies that he's not foolish enough to bring something so important. Annoyed, the rich man yells at him to stop messing around. At that, the thugs prepare to attack all at once. But the hero reveals 2 bottles and invites them to have a little fun. Yosha looks confused and asks if it's some kind of gift. The 2 bottles of strong liquor seem to be the hero's new weapon. Suddenly, a new figure approaches with firm steps. At the door, Yoshida's father appears, wearing a stern, unfriendly expression. The rich man is shocked and asks what his father is doing there. In a serious tone, the man says he came to clean up his son's mess. His goons then bring Yuji and Emino, tied up, inside the building. The protagonist is stunned to see his acquaintances captured. The traitor is gagged and can't say a word. The father scolds him, ordering him to do the job properly without leaving any loose ends. Yosha asks if they should eliminate everyone, but the father cuts him off. Then the old man calls him knave and asks if he really trusts Amano. He reveals that she was the one who leaked the report to Tojo's parents. Faced with this revelation, our hero looks at the woman in surprise. Furious at the betrayal, Yosha slaps her hard across the face. Filled with hatred, he yells that he gave her a lot of money and was betrayed in the end. But Amano remains unfazed and shouts that her heart isn't rotten like his. She yells that she couldn't bear to see Tojo's parents suffering and searching for witnesses any longer. Enraged, Yosha kicks her and yells that he'll bury her along with the hero. At that moment, the rich man's father steps forward and asks if he is Manabu Tojo. The protagonist replies that the man made him go through all that and doesn't even recognize him. The old man gives a mocking smile and says he doesn't need to know about insignificant insects. Without hesitation, he gets straight to the point and demands to know where the copy of the autopsy report is. With a faint smile, our hero replies that he will never reveal that information. The two lock eyes in a moment of intense tension before the final confrontation begins. The man then signals to his goons to prepare for the impending attack. He even boasts that he has very powerful forces backing him. Because of this, he warns that it doesn't matter where the report is. Everything ends here. Before leaving, he turns with a malevolent smile and says he has something to tell him. The old man points to two goons and reveals that they were the ones who killed his parents. Upon hearing this, Tojo's expression shifts completely to one of pure hatred. Clenching his fist with all his might, he prepares to take down everyone there. Filled with rage, our protagonist screams Minoru Yoshida's name with all his strength. He shouts that even a cornered insect fights back and throws the bottle he was holding. The bottle shatters on the floor, spilling liquid everywhere. One of the goons slips on the liquid and loses his balance completely. The brute falls hard onto the floor in the middle of the puddle. As he tries to get up, he realizes his face is covered in the liquid. Seizing the opportunity, our hero charges forward and lands a solid hit on the first gunman. The rich man and his father realize it's oil and call him a coward. Without mercy, he uses his knife to finish off the first target of his revenge. Immediately after, he delivers a brutal blow to ensure the man doesn't get up again. Yosha grows furious and orders all his men to attack at once. But the goons slip on the oil and fall one by one, unable to fight. Taking advantage of the chaos, our protagonist runs toward a huge painting on the wall. From there, he uses the wall for support to gain momentum and launch another attack. In midair, he delivers a powerful spinning kick to another goon, sending him flying. Our protagonist lands on the ground, knife in hand, ready for his next move. Yosha shouts furiously, calling the man a show-off and orders his men to finish him off. With that, two more goons rush toward our hero to attack. But our protagonist anticipated this and prepares a new surprise. He throws a mysterious powder that blinds all the enemies nearby. With his knife ready, he prepares to strike amid the confusion caused by the dust. Through the smoke, he watches the goons, completely lost and disoriented. In a swift motion, he advances and slashes one of the brutes with his blade. Covered in red liquid, he turns, ready for the next opponent. One guard tries to wipe his eyes, but the powder prevents him from seeing clearly. Because of this, he becomes an easy target and receives a fatal blow to the back. Soon after, the other goons prepare to attack simultaneously. The fight continues intensely as our hero battles several at once. Yosha grows frustrated watching his men get beaten and doesn't know what to do. Faced with this, his father calms him down and tells him to fetch the drink quickly. The rich man understands the plan and says water doesn't remove lime, but alcohol does. Suddenly, Amono breaks free and grabs Yoshida's leg to interfere. The rich man yells for her to let go, while the woman holds on with all her strength. Losing patience, he kicks her hard and throws her aside to get rid of her. Even on the ground, she thinks this is the least she can do to help. The remaining goons prepare for a final attack against our hero. Meanwhile, he continues fighting and takes down a few more enemies in the smoke. Yoshida's men use alcohol to clean the powder from their faces. The rich man's father calms everyone down and warns them to be careful of the oil on the floor. With that, the goons spread out, surrounding the man from all sides. One of the brutes leaps over the stairs to attack our hero, but he defends himself, catching the enemy's blade with his wrapped hands. Wearing a malevolent smile, Yoshida's father yells for them to attack now. The other goons advance simultaneously, but Yuji suddenly appears and delivers a brutal blow to one of them. Yuji presses the attack, landing a direct hit on the goon. However, another brute prepares to strike Yuji from behind with a knife. Our protagonist reacts quickly, stopping the blow by holding the attacker back. With a fierce move, he finishes the assailant, saving his friend's life. Yoshida grows irritated and regrets not finishing off Yuji earlier. Before all this, shortly after, our hero had blocked another goon's attack with his arm. Despite his injury, he refuses to stop and continues fighting the remaining enemies. He charges at the bald man, dodging blows with impressive agility. Meanwhile, Yoshida threatens Yuji, who responds with a fearless challenge. Our protagonist focuses and prepares a new attack strategy. Then, he throws his jacket onto the floor to distract the goons. The brutes approach, ready for a final, decisive strike. Smiling, he lights a lighter and asks if they want a little fire. The goons are confused as the small flame ignites. Because of the oil on the floor, a large blaze quickly engulfs them all. Seizing the chaos, Yuji lands a powerful kick to Yoshida's face. Taking advantage of the moment, our protagonist charges at the rich man with everything he has. With a brutal blow, he strikes him in the middle of the head with a bat. Lying on the ground, Yoshida can't believe it ended this way. With his foot on Yoshida's face, our protagonist stomps down hard, humiliating him. He then prepares to deliver the final blow and asks if he has any last words. But the rich man's father takes Amano hostage, threatening to kill her. Holding a knife to the woman's neck, he tries to stop our hero from getting closer. Desperate, Yoshida pleads for his life, admitting he was wrong about everything. He even promises to clear Tojo's name and pay whatever it takes to survive. The old man proposes a deal but warns he will show no mercy if anything goes wrong. Our hero replies that he's not afraid to die and doesn't care about the threat. Faced with this, Yoshida tells him to finish it and take the blame for him, but our protagonist surprises him by demanding all his money. The rich man agrees, saying he even has gold bars hidden away to hand over. Yoshida goes upstairs, and his father suspects he's going to get a weapon from the safe. The old man tells our protagonist to take the money and leave quickly, but our hero exchanges a look with Amano, and it's clear they have a plan. With that, the woman delivers a powerful elbow strike to the old man's stomach. Seizing the chance, our hero grabs the knife that dropped. Without hesitation, he pulls the man's hair to finish the job. With a precise strike, he ends the life of the old man who orchestrated all the chaos. The old man collapses lifeless to the floor as a pool of red spreads across the tiles. As the fight ends, Amano's face shows a mix of relief and sorrow. Witnessing the scene, our protagonist moves to help Amano up and untie her, but she urgently warns him that firearms are hidden in the house. At that moment, Yoshida appears with a pistol, shouting that he's going to finish them all. The rich man comes down the stairs carrying a bag, yelling that he brought the money he promised. But when he reaches the ground floor, he sees the bodies of his father and his goons. Desperate, he shouts that Tojo broke the deal and swears he will crush him. In desperation, Yuji calls out for Yosha, drawing his attention to the other side of the room. Seizing the moment, he begins firing his pistol to create a major distraction. On the floor, two tied-up goons sit beside a cell phone playing the same voice from before. It turns out it was all just a recorded audio meant to trick the rich man and his men. Taking advantage of this, our protagonist points his weapon at Yoshida. Without hesitation, he fires, and a spray of red liquid splatters everywhere. Immediately after, he moves forward and lands a solid punch right in the center of the rich man's face. Our hero slams him to the ground, determined to end the fight once and for all. Holding his face, the rich man screams, demanding to know why the scumbag eliminated his old man. With a crazed smile, the protagonist declares he will wipe out the entire family to find his parents. From there, he finishes the rich man with several merciless blows. Watching the scene unfold, Yuji and Amano look on as the enemy's body lies lifeless on the floor. The blade, covered in red liquid, falls to the ground, signaling the end of the long battle. Tears in his eyes, our hero screams that he has finally avenged his parents. In the background, his friend and the woman watch silently, their expressions grave. The scene shifts to Yuji helping Amano walk, both badly injured. Our protagonist urges them to leave first because he still has something to do. Soon after, he discovers a safe filled with money and gold bars. But amid the cash, he finds a mysterious envelope. Picking up the paper, he wears a surprised look. Outside, Yuji and the woman walk away from the mansion as snow falls, their faces marked by concern and fear. Meanwhile, our hero leaves the house carrying a large bag full of money. He hands over the cash and instructs them to hide and not contact anyone else. Amano says she doesn't deserve forgiveness because she ended up betraying his trust. With a calm expression, he replies that she was also threatened and that he forgives everything. Yuji then asks if their protagonist isn't going to run away with them. With a determined look, the hero responds that he can't run from anything anymore. His friend embraces him and says he'll stay by his side even if he's convicted. The hero says he has a plan and that even if it fails, he won't involve them. Amano becomes desperate and yells for him not to do that under any circumstances. The protagonist asks for just one night to settle everything and promises he'll come back alive. The woman tries to leave, but Yuji holds her back, saying he can't leave him alone. His friend stops her, saying she'll only get in the way and that they should trust him. Alone, The hero watches the two walk away in the falling snow outside. The scene shifts to a man in a suit standing over someone lying on the ground. Far away, Yuji and Amano hide under a bridge in the darkness of night. The man then asks what exactly was inside that mysterious envelope. The woman explains that they are documents proving the corruption of the city's powerful figures. Yuji is confused about why something so important would be kept in that house. She reveals that Yoshida was the deputy police chief, so it wasn't difficult for him. Because of this, he had access to all the dirty secrets of the city's elite. As they talk, the woman takes the opportunity to tend to the man's wounds. Amano says that because he had the evidence, the powerful protected him and let him do whatever he wanted. Yuji gets angry and says that if he goes alone, he'll be taken out and decides to go after him. Amano holds him back and calms him down, saying Tojo's plan might work, but Yuji doesn't understand. She explains that Yoshida was also a problem for the powerful people who wanted him gone. Therefore, our protagonist's only chance of survival is to form an alliance with them. The scene shifts to a compromising photo of a man in bed with two women. Meanwhile, our hero appears dressed in a suit, wearing a serious and determined expression. Carrying a bag, he ascends a long staircase leading to a mansion.